So it's all for play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to For the Love of Pomegranate podcast. Friday night, 8:35. I know we said we'd be here for 8:30, but we said we'd give you a moment to get settled in. 8:30 Friday night, talking about a game that's on in Canada 1 minus 4
16 hours.
16 hours time. But it's going to be we'll try and get through it anyway as best we can, as I say, and thanks so much everybody for tuning in to have a listen and have a watch of us. But we're going to go down through a couple of things in this. I suppose it would be remiss of us not to at least make note of the Chelsea game, because I think we had one of our more interesting team sheet tantrums for the Chelsea game, and it was great because we actually had debate for the first time in a long time, first time ever, I would say. There was very much a split in the comments of positive and negative, and which is absolutely fine, and it's great. It's great to see that healthy debate, and no one was getting annoyed with each other, no one was calling each other names, and it was actually really nice. Felt like we were on the way up to the ground or something like that, or it felt like we were in a pub, and it was pretty cool. But the team went out, the team played well. The team were probably the better team for good parts of the first half. Cameron Archer had some great chances, and the team came away with a 1-1 draw, albeit losing on penalties. But Paddy, talk to me about it. Last time we spoke about this, we were very apprehensive. We weren't really sure whether it was going to be a hiding or whether it was going to be, a valiant loss or whatever the situation was. But how do you feel after watching that game last Wednesday night?
I'm not going to lie. I think it was a missed opportunity. I think with a couple more of our, let's say, experienced guys, i.e. Ollie Watkins and Danny Ings bringing off the bench, it might have been a different story. I think when you see Lukaku 97, 98 million coming off the bench, I think I tatted up their bench is worth over 250 million, and we decided to go with a relatively weakened side with the hope of probably getting a result this weekend, which, let's face it, is probably not going to happen either. So while it was a valiant performance, they played exceptionally well. Those that listened the other night knew I was going to play football, so I only saw the second half, and I was very impressed with what I saw. I didn't go back and watch the first half because we'd lost, and I was a bit pissed off over the whole thing, so I didn't bother. So it'll go down as one we'll remember. I think we go out of this cup or the FA Cup in a whimper a lot of years, and we kind of forget. We lost to Stoke City last year. I had to look that up to remember it, and I don't remember what happened or anything in the game, but we lost, and I think that was probably down to putting out a weakened side as well. It happens, but I think Chelsea wanted it more. Thomas Tuchel, from the minute I got back in, I think it was 47, 48 minutes on the clock, was up on the edge of technical area, and the camera was on him constantly barking out all. He was absolutely adamant they were going to win that game of what they had on the pitch. And unfortunately they did in the end, but not without a few scares as well. And it was great to watch. We were as good as we can be, and we scored probably one of the goals of the season. It was absolutely brilliant to watch Cameron Archer wheeling away, bearing in mind that we nearly had him on the pitch for a Premier League game a couple of weeks ago. So I was delighted to see him get his opportunity. And also bear in mind, this is a guy who went out on loan last year and struggled at a non-league side. So I've seen it so many times. Players come into that kind of setup, have all the fans behind them, and suddenly they're flourishing. So long may that continue for him, because we love to see a homegrown player coming in and doing well. He's our top scorer now this season. So it'll probably be a while before someone scores 4 goals and catches up with him. But yeah. So my overriding emotion is that we left that behind us, and I have no doubt that if we'd have picked the team that played Chelsea a few weeks ago, we probably would have beaten them.
Yeah, look, there's no doubting that. What I would say to it is that the road goes both ways. If Chelsea had picked their full team, I've no doubt that they'd probably have beaten our full team.
Well, maybe not. We mightn't have been as naive as we were the first day and gifting them that second goal. So we'll never know.
Yeah,
but
and that's what I'm kind of getting at. If ifs and buts are candy and nuts, like, you know, we got to play. Yeah. We played against a weakened Chelsea team with a weakened team of our own, and we took a lot of the game to Chelsea. A lot of the game to Chelsea. We had the better chances. We had 100% the better chances in the game. Cameron Archer had a one-on-one that he scooped over the bar. He had another one where he got in, and I think Agazi got in as well, and the goalkeeper. We could have won it in normal time, you know, even with them bringing on Lukaku, you know. So I know, look, it's one of those ones, but who's to say that, like, that you don't draw Man City in the next round, or you don't draw fucking someone in the next round then, and then you put out your full team, you still get beat 3-0. It was only one game at the end of the day. Winning it didn't entitle us to any League Cup, and I know you know that, and I know everybody knows that that's listening, that's watching the podcast. I'm not being hyperbolic when I say it, but it's just the reality of it. Dean Smith nearly came out of it with a masterclass, lads, because we played. We went back to the 4-2-3-1. We played a stouter, shorter man up front than we have, probably back to the way we played last year. That's his movement is brilliant. I'm going to come back to that in a moment. Cameron Archer's movement was fantastic, and we'll get onto the goal in a moment. But I suppose let's concentrate on further back the field. Our pressing midfield was excellent. Buendia and Sanson looked like they had played together for years. The way that they were able to hand off players, they were able to move. What I mean by that is they were hand off players in zones in midfield, so they're able to track and press. Nakamba, I thought, was pretty decent, and I know people are like, what's he do? Some people are saying, what's he doing taking a penalty? Completely different different phase of the game. Obviously, in actual real time play, I thought he was pretty good. Specifically the first half, I suppose. Second half, we were a small bit more overrun. I thought Courtney House, once again, I always think he plays a good game. I thought he played a really good game. What he did to Lukaku to make up the ground and get that tackle in is highlight reel stuff for sure. He should have it in his video CV if Aston Villa ever put him up for sale, or if he's ever been shopped around. That should be the highlight that he shows, along with all his great heading ability. And Axel Tuanzebe is a real leader back there as well. And I genuinely believe that when we go out, maybe not on Saturday, but like when we have our full back three at any stage with Tuanzebe, Mings, and Konza, any one of those could wear the armband for Aston Villa, and that's good. It's good to have that solid kind of structure, I suppose, in that back three. I actually think more so if we just started Martinez in goals as opposed to having a Mings or a Watkins to come on, that we would win the game. I think if we started like say what we want. Jed Steer made some great saves in real time, or in real time in normal time. But like we have to kind of mention the elephant in the room. He was diving nearly a day and a half before the penalty was taken. So look, maybe that's something he's probably been working on. Maybe it was a case of maybe the Chelsea players knew he dived early and just they were waiting for it. Maybe they caught him out as opposed to whatever happened. But look, I suppose what I'm getting at here is there's a lots of ifs and buts, but then again, they'll be like that with every game. And look, we're out of the League Cup again. It's not ideal, but I think the
reason it's not ideal, Neil, is we don't have Europe to worry about. So we could have thrown our heart and soul into this coming up to Christmas and given.
I still don't think our squad is there.
It needed a full team. It needed a full team the other night to go and win it, or it needed the ability to change the game from the bench. And and that's why I'm a little bit disappointed, because we have the time and we're not worrying about Europe to go on that run between now and Christmas. Like, I think it's only 3 games between now and Christmas midweek. We could surely manage that with what we have.
Yeah, but I think I still don't think our squad, like, I think with the amount of injuries that we have and niggles and knocks, like, our squad isn't there to play a full squad on a Wednesday and then go out off to Old Trafford at 12:30 on a Saturday. And I think maybe if our squad was fully healthy, I think probably we would have seen a more full strength squad. But we came out of this with another one injury. Yes, yeah, it was only Sanson, which was very unfortunate as well. And I just think that I think if this happened and it happened in a vacuum on a different day, that I think we could have got more first team players in the bench. But I think that Watkins playing 3 games in the space of 7 days would have been difficult coming back from injury, and obviously he had to take off Bertrand Traore to mind him, I suppose, for this weekend. I'd imagine he would be very much involved because we've got no Leon Bailey as well. But no, look, I wholeheartedly agree. It would be nice to have Ings. I wouldn't have had Watkins on the bench no matter what. I would have had Ings there because I think it would have been more of a game for Ings, and plus Ings doesn't miss penalties. So if we were to bring him on with knowing that there was no extra time, I think he probably would have been the better one to bring on. But saying that, we lost on penalties, and it was our most experienced player in Ashley Young who had a brutal penalty, and he didn't have his best night at the office. They picked on him really, and Marvelous Nakamba, who I think people are think it's probably a valid question to ask, like, how good must he be in training and taking penalties to say that he was picked to take one. But then again, Jordan Pickford takes penalties for England, so and
I've no problem with anybody taking a penalty. I was perhaps a little bit disappointed that some of the younger lads didn't get one because it's a nice experience. I was when I saw Ashley Young going up, I wasn't brimmed with confidence because a lot of people did miss it just before the penalties were taken. But there was a bit of a conflab in the middle of the pitch between, I forget who the Chelsea captain was. Was it Marcus Alonso? Jorginho? No, I can't remember.
Chelsea captain was pass.
Anyway, it was irrelevant who he was. The referee flipped the coin at least 3 times. So Ashley Young was losing his shit and then had to go and take a penalty. He wanted to know why there was now I've gone back and looked at it.
Was it?
The camera
I thought they were laughing.
No, the camera has shown us that the coin was tossed 3 times at least. It may have been even done again before it. I don't know, but it was definitely tossed 3 times. I went and had a look subsequently at the law book afterwards, and it's a double coin toss. 1 decides which ends, 2 decides who goes first, and that's it. We won the first 2 coin tosses. So why was the third one taken? That immediately put Ashley Young in bad form as far as I could see. I actually thought I was imagining it, so I went back and had a look. Definitely, the camera shows completely 3 coin tosses. He tosses the coin 3 times. And I watched the press conference today, and the first guy comes in with meaningless questions about safe standing and fucking World Cup in December. And I'm going, are these guys not paid to look at what's going on during the week and ask questions about that? Because that's been burning in my mind since Wednesday night when I went to bed. A few people gave me a bit of stick on Twitter for even mentioning it, but it did happen. It definitely happened.
It did. But I actually thought that they were laughing at the third one. But then again, I didn't put too much heat into it until you texted me, and I wasn't able to watch it back because just cause. But look, I suppose valiant effort. Look, it's shit being the lucky losers all the time, or being the plucky losers, should I say, more so than lucky, because there was nothing lucky about that game. For us, we were fully merited in our 1-1 draw. And I think it's but look, it's onwards and upwards. I think from there, I would have liked to have seen Sanson available. I think Sanson could have affected the game against Man United at the weekend with the way he was pressing, even for 20 minutes at the end, if we were protecting a lead, which may not happen. But unfortunately, he's not going to be there, and we're back down to a 3. Our midfield. It's not threadbare at all. We still have Bundy to come in there. We still have, but I would imagine our midfield 3, midfield 3 that we've played pretty much all year. If we are going to excuse me, if we are going to go with the 3.
Yeah.
But let's take a few comments before we move on to the Chelsea game there. So Ad says plenty of positives from the game. House especially, don't see any problems with him in the team for tomorrow. Yeah, and spoiler alert, we'll be talking about that in a moment. Christopher says, I have a dangerous feeling about tomorrow. I think we might do these clowns. Yeah, absolutely. I hope I wake up feeling dangerous tomorrow as well. Dara says, Villa were great the other night. Same performance tomorrow. We'll see if Villa win. Good to see Tom. Good to see you, buddy. Ad is in. Sanson looked really bright until his injury. I really thought so. I thought he was our man of the match up until the injury. I thought he was everywhere. And as I said, you could see that himself and Buendia were, like, obviously they haven't played together or anything like that, but maybe they were paired up together from a fitness point of view all week with a game plan in mind, because they were pretty sharp at moving players, like manipulating players around midfield and handing players off when they moved out of zones. Obviously, because Buendia was a small bit more further forward than Sanson was, but no, really liked it.
I think the overriding thing about Sanson is people realize that we do have a player there.
Yeah,
that's the first they've seen of him being the player that we bought. So hopefully he can lose this sick note name tag and we can make a player out of him. Dean Smith made a valid comment today about the 2 players that are continuously picking up injuries haven't had a full pre-season in Sanson and Bailey. So look, take the international break, get them up to speed, get them all guns blazing going into the winter, because if they're picking them up in September, these tightnesses, they're going to pick them up even more in November and December.
Yeah. Dara says Archer's goal was a joy to watch, like something from the 80s Cup final, and that's a glass one, because my father rang me after the game and he said, Jesus, did you see that young fella from Villa? Where did he come from? And I said, well, to be honest with you, I think Craig Shakespeare said it after the game. No one really knows where he came from in the last 18 months, because while he was good and he was fine at that level, he went out to Solihull Moors and he played out in the wing and he struggled for game time. And next thing, he just came back, put his head down and is showing people what they've done. But the father said, and this is going to be a real throwback. And everybody over in the UK, you might know who this person is. But father said that goal reminded him of a goal that a fellow by the name of Andy McAvoy, I think he said, would score for Limerick FC back in the 70s in the Irish League. And Andy McAvoy apparently played for Blackburn for a time as well. So if we've any ex-old Blackburn fans there, but the father said all he was good for was standing on the penalty area. People had crossed the ball into him and he'd headed into the back of the net. And it's interesting that you say that as well. There was like something from the 80s, because the father said it was a real throwback as well. Just very simple, ball crossed in, almost a mano-a-mano situation, and a header goes into the back of the net. So
and what a cross it was.
What a cross, an absolute rainbow of a cross. Yeah, straight in. Matty Cash is an asset. Matty Cash is an asset. He's a proper new age marauding fullback, if that's what you want to call it.
Don't you mean Matthias Kashki?
Matthias Kaish or something like that. Matthias Slotty. That's it. That's it. His name would have to be, and he's
just call him the Polish Cafu. How's that?
Polish Cafu is easier. Yeah. And says could be divorce in the house tomorrow afternoon up the Villa. Yeah, and there's a house divided tomorrow there at 12:30 when the match is on, because there's a big Man United fan and a big Aston Villa fan there. But the kettle's on here if you want. If you do have to leave, the kettle is on, and you can come up here for refuge. It's absolutely fine. Where else are we? Oh, I'm after losing this again. Okay, we've got a couple of ones there. I'm gonna any of the United ones we'll come back to it in a moment. Ad says a lot there in both games against Chelsea. Mendy was man of match in the first game, and James was man of match in the cup tie. Absolutely. Reece James is a fine player, lads. How Chelsea can't find a way to shoehorn him into the team is, I suppose, just goes to show where we aren't yet from a squad building point of view. He's a fine player. I very, very rarely see him play a bad game, and that's just my thoughts on it. On Reece James. I don't mind starting 11 against Chelsea, but not putting any options in the bench from our first 11 makes no sense to me. Yeah, I can understand why people are aggrieved in it. I can understand why people are aggrieved in it for sure. absolutely for sure. Rob Henry agrees with you on the toss, Paddy. Ash is not happy because it was the first toss was voided for some reason.
It was voided because Chelsea didn't win it.
Maybe it could have been one of those what happened next situations in question of sport where the coin landed and stuck into the ground right on its edge or something mad like that. Who knows? But it's definitely worth looking back on. Carl says Sanson getting injured was a blow. He was great. Absolutely. No, absolutely genuine. I think he could have been man of the match. And I was gutted for him when he went down and he was clutching his hamstring. And like when someone goes down like that, and it might be maybe a contact injury or something, you're going, right, yeah, it might only be a week, it might be a bit of bruising here and there. When it's a hamstring, like you aren't getting back anytime soon. You know, you're 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you know, for that. Very proud. We played the best team in England at the moment and held our own with our second team. We have very good strength and depth now. We also rattled Chelsea in the league game too. And I think, Mark, that's really fair as well. That like a lot of people, and I said it as well, and I probably, well, listen to this, I'm going to admit it. I might have been wrong. Because at the end of the day, they brought on Mason Mount and they brought on Lukaku to really strengthen their side. And yes, they were missing, you know, one or two people at the back, but apart from that, they still had N'Golo Kante. They still had, you know, they still had all these superstars on their team, and we didn't. You know, we didn't have the first team players to bring on. So that's actually a very good point. And you know, that we still held our own against them. We still defended against them. And Courtney House, that tackle from Courtney House, as I said, I've spoken about it already. What a tackle! You know, what a covering tackle that was. Right. Let's go and let's talk a small bit about Man United. There was a comment there that I think we'll start off with. Right, let's just rip off the band-aid. Will Mike Dean award United's penalty in the first or second half? And if Martinez save it, will he be sent off or only get a yellow? Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
I did actually plan, Paddy, and this is no word of a lie. I planned on running a competition for charity. I don't actually know what the prize was going to be, but I was going to put up a square of 90 squares. And I was going to say, listen, you're a pound per square, and you pick your square, and whoever was all for charity. Whoever then won it got a hat or something like that. I would have sent them a hat, one of the hats that we still have here or something like that. I don't know. But then I woke up this morning and literally every second post on Twitter was poll going, what minute will Mike Dean award a penalty to Man United? I went, oh, that was my great idea out the gate now, so I'm going to have to wait around for another one. But some of you eagle-eyed customers, eagle-eyed punters, should I say, will have seen this, and I'm actually going to share it here. Did any of you happen to see the graphic for the podcast tonight? And did any of you spot the Wally? Did any of you? So we played a little game of Where's Wally?
Wally is the right bloody name for him.
With our podcast graphic today, and I'm just wondering, did anyone see him? I'm just going to share it up here in case you did and you didn't. Share screen, video screen, so you'll be able to. So just in case some of you didn't see it, played a little game of Where's Wally. Why isn't it sharing? There it is. And yeah, there's the spectre of Mike Dean and his smarmy wink that time when he looked down the barrel of the camera and gave a wink. But actually, do any of you watch Ted Lasso? Have you ever watched Ted Lasso, Paddy?
No, Stephen watches it, and I keep meaning to, but time just doesn't permit at the moment. But I will get round to it. Make time.
Because if I'm not mistaken, that clown was on Ted Lasso as well. He was in an episode of it where he actually had a speaking part in it where they played against Man City in it. But yeah, the spectre of Mike Dean, I suppose, really, Paddy, is something that none of us want. Like playing against United in a game that's been moved to 12:30 because the Courtneyers are playing in Old Trafford cricket ground later on, and they couldn't have the traffic levels because the road back to London would have been packed from all the United fans. So they decided to move it to 12:30, and then Mike Dean is the ref as well. So like, and I know I don't want to sound defeatist, but like it's just you throw the stat, Paddy, to remind me of what that stat was again about our
Mike Dean has refereed us 22 times and we've only won twice.
Do you even know how many we've even got a point from? I wouldn't say we've drawn many more, to be honest.
No, I wouldn't say we have. No, well, somebody just shared in the comments there. Mike Dean gave us the penalty in the last minute against Wolves last season. I'd say that's the only thing he's ever given us.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
For that reason, I've written off tomorrow. The minute I saw it, I was like, this game gets harder and harder each time you play it, because it's a monkey on our back for whatever it is now, nearly 30 years since that you'll win nothing with kids thing in 1995. So I know this is away from home, but it's still Man United. It's still a monkey on our back. I think the Gabby header at Old Trafford, that's what 12, 13 years ago.
2019. Yeah, 2009. Sorry, 2009.
Yeah. So we just don't get. They get all the decisions. The last 2 or 3 years, they've got some abysmal decisions against us, and I don't see tomorrow being any different, because Mike Dean is rolled out when they need results sorted for the bigger clubs. And I know that sounds terrible, but I just don't trust them. I don't trust.
I don't trust Mike. I don't trust. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's not that I think he's a bad ref. I don't trust him to be impartial.
Well, I don't trust anyone to be impartial against the big clubs, and
but him specifically and Man United, like every other team can't be wrong.
Sure, they get the decisions left, right, and centre. You can be guaranteed they're getting a penalty tomorrow, because Solskjaer came out today and said it's because of Klopp that we're not getting any penalties. Yeah. No, it's because you fucking didn't deserve a penalty. And Ronaldo should have been done for diving last week. He was already going to ground before the tackle came in.
Yeah, but Fleet Street and the media are already saying that, he should have got a penalty last week. And Solskjaer is on that as well, going, no, Ronaldo should have got a penalty last week. But look, yeah, it is what it is. Look, if they get their penalty, we're going to need to score 2 goals to win tomorrow. And I think that's long the short of it. Before we get down to brass tacks, I suppose, with the team, because I don't think there's going to be any groundbreaking stuff with the team. I think the team is going to be pretty safe and solid. But if we are to score 2 goals, Paddy, do we not have something a bit more in our locker this year playing against a team like Man United? Because set pieces, we talked about them in the last day. We highlighted them against Everton about how we're now defending them a small bit better. I feel a small bit better anyway. I think we've gotten our shape and our structure, specifically from corners. It's completely changed. And John McGinn isn't at the back post anymore. Not that I was ever massively against it. He just had 2 high profile times when men who were 6'6", 6'7" got in over his head, which is to be expected. He's only 5'9" or 10. But I think more so our attacking intent from set pieces, while it doesn't level the playing field against a team like Man United, but what it does is it gives us something to almost look forward to. And I think a lot of the talk in the early portion of the game from the commentators in the early pre-match press conferences, I haven't listened to anything Solskjaer said. I would be actually very surprised if anybody who was interviewing Solskjaer actually even gave us any chance against them this week. But I think it's going to become a thing over the course of the year. And I said it before, and if you just get a reputation for being good at set pieces, it doesn't really matter whether you are or whether you aren't. The psychology of it is huge.
Of course, but unfortunately, we're all defeatist this week, because we feel we're already 1-0 down, because we're almost nailed on that they'll get a penalty and it'll have us 1-0 down before we even get going. And I envisage another moral victory tomorrow where we'll put it up to them, but it will just come up a little bit short. But that like you summed it up. We are definitely more potent in attack, and our set piece has a lot more to offer. But just the elephant in the room is we don't get those decisions against the big clubs. It's been proven from year after year after year. We have to go and have a miraculous kind of game like the Liverpool 7-2 last week to go and put a game to bed, so a referee cannot do anything about the result at that stage. Like going 3-0 up against Arsenal, there's nothing that can stop that. That's our juggernaut in full swing, and there's no stopping it. And that's probably what we need to do against the clubs. The clubs like Man United, we can't afford to go 1-0 up and sit back. We've got to keep playing and impose our game on people throughout the game, not just in sports.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sorry, I started laughing in the middle of that. I wasn't laughing at anything you said. Everything you said there was pretty valid, but Tom, I had to laugh at this. You've more chance of getting fuel in England tomorrow than anything from Mike Dean. I had to give a laugh at that. Yeah, you guys seem to be facing some sort of a fuel crisis at the moment, and hopefully that gets sorted for you, because there's nothing worse than panic buying and stuff like that. It can cause unneeded stress for you guys. So hopefully that does get sorted out. There's an interesting one here from Seb. Seb says Luis and Mings have something to prove against United after last season, and Wan-Bissaka and Varane are the weak link at the back. And I'd have to say I agree with about 79.46% of that statement. I definitely think Luis and Mings. I think Douglas Luis. I think with the new setup, the way that we're going to be set up with 5 at the back, I think it's and who knows if we're going to play a 5 at the back. That's probably going to be our only real talking point tomorrow. And I think we will, considering Courtney House played so well during the week. But I think the way the 5 at the back, it actually limits the amount of mistakes that, not mistakes, and I don't mean it like that they're absolutely massively error prone, but it limits the isolation that you can get. You can get Mings isolated in the box, or that Douglas Luiz would be running across the face of the goal with a player like he was against Pogba for that penalty last year. And I think we'll be able to keep the play in front of us a bit more, if that makes sense, with our 3/5 at the back, whatever way you want to look at it. But yes, absolutely. I think I've got a sneaky feeling Douglas Luiz, if Douglas Luiz plays as well as he did against Everton, Douglas Luiz will have a mighty game against United. Wan-Bissaka, I think I would love, and I'm really disappointed Bailey isn't there, because I actually think Bailey would have ripped Wan-Bissaka apart. I just don't think he likes defending against latent pace like that. He wants to go forward. He's very unfortunate that there's so many good right backs in the Premier League, because he probably is international standard, but if you get him turned at all, you'll have him on toast. But the part I don't agree with is Varane being a weak link at the back. I just think if
it had said Maguire, I would have agreed with him across the board. I'd say Wan-Bissaka, I think he's an okay defender. I don't think he offers anything coming forward, and that's why he's not at international standard at this stage. But Varane, I think he's been a very cute signing for them this season, and he has shown up how poor Harry Maguire is, because he's bossing Harry Maguire around the pitch, and Maguire is the captain. So it's actually funny to watch. And if you get that situation tomorrow, have a look at it, because Varane looks like he's fucking frightened of his life of Harry Maguire making mistakes, and he's constantly talking to him throughout the game.
Yeah, Harry Maguire and his 50 pence piece head. And that's what I mean by set pieces. That he while he's got way better, like, don't get me wrong, he was absolutely superb in the Euros. I thought Harry Maguire was very good, like in the international competition. But like, there's only so far you can go with it with a lot of defenders in the Premier League, where you can, like, with long throws, just the trajectory of them, with good set pieces, stuff like that. Like, you get defenders stretching, and that's the difference between that when you have an aerial bombardment, especially coming at different angles to the team. A defender might overstretch and not get full connection on the ball, and then it could be anyone's game. It might squirt to the back post. It might only drop as far as the edge of the area. It might he might not get the required distance. He might not get the flick to get it around the post. The goalkeeper might be brought into a save, and that's why teams revert to a set piece. Not so much that they're going to get Tyrone Mings on the end of every long throw, but it's the case of you lob a ball in there and they make a mistake based on trying to clear it, because the repetition of the ball coming in at different angles and so on like that can bamboozle players. And look, I got into it. I kind of moved away from Harry Maguire, but the reason I was saying that is that you could see the ball skim off Harry Maguire's head and clip the butt of the post and go for a corner, and then we score from a corner, something like that. So give him something to worry about. Is what I'm trying to say here. Give him something to worry about. Give Varane something to worry about, and we'll see what way we go from set pieces there as well. And that's basically.
All we have to worry about is who's going to marshal Ronaldo, and who's going to be there when he runs in for this 2-yard tap in.
I know
that's going to be the tough part for us. I see there's a comment there that House is never beaten in the air. Ronaldo beats everybody in the air.
If he could beat the Messi of the skies, who is Shane Duffy, Shane Duffy, when he plays for Ireland, he just heads away everything normally, and he beat him in the last minute against Portugal. But it's going to be look. I think that's even more of a reason why we play 3 at the back, because Greenwood, Fernandez, and who else would they probably play? Greenwood, Fernandez,
Fred,
Pogba,
McTominay.
Greenwood, Fernandez, and Pogba will probably be behind Cristiano Ronaldo. So we're going to be on our heels for a good portion of the game, I think, but I still think we can get the ball forward. Yeah. I was really impressed actually with what Buendia did when we were on the back foot against Chelsea, because when he carried the ball, he didn't like what you tend to see. What I tend to notice is when someone's carrying the ball out of defense and we're on a counter attack, it's like balls to the wall fast as you can on a counter attack. But what Buendia did was he was kind of conscious of the fact that we were defending against Chelsea, and I don't know what it's probably a Latin American thing, whereby he changed the pace of when he was dribbling with the ball and driving with the ball. So he was. While he was, yes, we were allowing people to funnel back, he knew that it wasn't a case of every time we were counter-attacking, we had to make a 90-yard lung-busting run up and obviously depleting energy. He knew that we were going to need energy to defend, should I say. And I think it was just interesting. I haven't seen that at Villa Park, I could nearly say ever. And I know we're in Stamford Bridge last day, but I haven't seen it from a Villa player ever, whereby, because usually as a counter-attacking team, we'd be used to seeing people like Gabriel Bonlahor, or maybe like when we had Vyman or Albrighton, it was head down, run straight, Yeah. So you can still counter-attack with a change of pace, and because people will funnel back, but it's all about if people are funneling back and they don't get set, and then you up the pace again a second time, then that can cause more consternation as well. So just a really interesting thing, and it's that, and that was made possible because of the way our midfield 3 played like on Wednesday as well, which was slightly different, obviously, to when we play 5 in midfield. But interesting, and I could see someone like Douglas Luiz do that if he's deployed a small bit further forward, but I don't think he will be, because I think our midfield 3 will be the same of Ramsey, McGinn, and Douglas Luiz, because McGinn is fit and will be playing on Saturday as per the team.
Yeah, I don't see any changes in there either. That what he alluded to there with Buendia, is that anything to do with the new coaching system? Could very well be.
Here we go.
It could be something that's been spotted over the last couple of weeks, and what I won't say trialed, because it's in the game, but all of these little things are something that somebody's looking at behind the scenes, I would imagine. But someone just texted me there. I don't know why he didn't put it in the comments, but 8 years ago today, do you know what happened, Neil?
What would that be in 2013? 8 years ago today, 2013. No, but 8 years ago on Sunday, I was sitting in an apartment in Spain, watching Ian Poulter sink. Would it have been? No, it wouldn't have been 8 years ago today, would it? No, it wouldn't, because we're a year ahead. Anyway, go on. I was going to say sink a putt in the Miracle in Medina, but no, wouldn't.
Well, 8 years ago today, Jonathan Moss didn't think it was a penalty when.
Oh, no! Don't do that! Don't do that!
Pull down. So there you go. Just another long list of irregularities in the refereeing that we experience on a weekly basis against the big clubs. So that's what happened today 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And if it was at the other end now, and it was, who would have been playing then? Senderos. If Senderos had pulled down someone's pants, do you think? I reckon he would have got a yellow card for the foul, and then another yellow card for ungentlemanly conduct and been sent off. Yeah. But our fella, that's fine. You can pull a Danish fella's pants around your ankles all you like. But
he never recovered from it, did Hellenius. Never recovered from it. Yeah. Paddy, I stubbed my toe just before the podcast, and you mentioning Nicholas Hellenius and Philip Senderos hurt me more than stubbing my toe before the podcast.
Someone else in the comments there, so he just mentioned Habib Bey, and that's a name I haven't heard in a long time either. Just to make your night a little bit worse, Neil.
Jesus, yeah. I can feel myself getting like all these names, heebie-jeebies. It was 9. It would be 9, just for those of you who are counting, it'll be 9 years ago on next Thursday when I was watching Ian Poulter sink the putt for the Miracle in Medina in the Ryder Cup. Just for record's sake, for the sake of a record, I think it needs to be said. Paddy, talk to me about the fact we're not going to have Leon Bailey. And I know I mentioned, look, it's going to be pretty much chalk, the team that goes out there. Yeah. But who's going to replace Bailey?
Well, nobody's going to replace Bailey. The same team is going to go out as what started last weekend, with the exception of Courtney House coming in for Tuanzebe, who can't play.
That's
right. I'm not missing anything else, am I?
No, you're not. But I'm wondering. Sorry, I suppose. Yeah, if we were, let's just say he goes with a fourth back, who would you play in your three behind the striker? And who plays up front? Who plays up top on his own?
But he's not going to. I can't see it. But if he was,
Paddy, we've only got 40 minutes out of the podcast. We need to at least string another 10 out of it. Come on, indulge me.
If he was to do that, Bertrand Traore would definitely be in there. I would perhaps pay Ings or Watkins in the 10 and play him as high of a 10 as possible. And on the opposite side, then Buendia. Pick and choose whatever you want. Buendia off the right or off the left. I'd like to see somebody else mentioned Habib Bey. It's stuck in my head now. Emi Buendia. I'd like to say Buendia on the right and see how Bertie does down the left. Yeah. It's something we don't see too often. So that would be how I would pick the three in behind the striker. But in all honesty, I can't see past the three at the back that we played last week and against Chelsea because it worked so well.
If we did go 4-2-3-1, I would be playing Buendia on the right. I would be playing Watkins on the left and Ings through the center. And the reason being is I think potentially that could be very good defensively because the work rate, like Watkins will move up and down that wing. Geez, you spill it over yourself. I thought you spilled your pint that over yourself.
Knock the microphone.
There was I think that could work well because of Buendia's pressing ability, and obviously look, Watkins is just a workhorse. But yeah, like yourself, I think we'll go to 5 at back. I think House I think he proved his worth. Look, you're only as good as your last game as well, and I'm sure that if he's a bad game, people will be out for him again on Saturday. But it's a difficult one because you are playing potentially the best goal scorer. I'm going to say this: the best goal scorer that's ever played the game. Is the way I'm going to phrase it, because I don't want to open up the debate of the best player ever, because some people will say Ronaldo, or some people will say Messi, and some people will be wrong if they say Ronaldo because it is Messi. But so I don't want to open up that. I think it's Maradona. I'm going to watch the comment section. The comment section is going to light up. I hope after that one. But no, look, it's going to be an interesting one. See who corrals him. I think. Look. Mings, House, Konza. I'm loath to say it considering the quality of defender he's played against, but he's 37. He's 37 years of age.
Yeah, but he has the body of an Adonis. He's as fit as a fucking butcher's
dog.
Butcher's dog. It's age doesn't matter for a guy who looks after himself that well. Like when I was 37, I was 4 stone overweight and loved a few points. You know?
When I'm 37 next April, I'll probably be the same. But Paddy, I interrupt. This is Aston Villa Talk. There's a pressing question in the comments, and I think we need to know your answer. Is Saoirse Ronan the hottest Irish celebrity today? That might be the best question I think has ever been asked. Dara says no, it's Brenda Fricker.
I think Dara has a point. I still see Saoirse Ronan as this 14 or 15-year-old, so I can't even comment on that. Paddy, I know she's not anymore. Good question.
I think you're the hottest Irish celebrity at this moment in time, Paddy.
I'm neither hot nor a celebrity, Neil, so it's not me.
Well, you said it. Just get back to the football. No, I suppose, Paddy, look, we've kind of, like, I went on a big rant in the Chelsea game about how much I thought that this was an absolute, like there was just it's good that it's on at 12:30 on a Saturday, because maybe I'll have forgotten about it with all the rest of the sport that's on a Saturday by the time I have to go to bed on Saturday night. But the more I think about it, the more I kind of bloviate in my own mind about the whole situation. They're not infallible, they're not unbeatable, or like young boys of Byrne went out and beat them. We're better than young boys of Byrne. You know, they have their blips, they have their moments. They're not a complete team just yet. And with that, what's the score, Paddy?
The score is, I think we'll score, but I'm going to go 2-1 United. I think they've already got a 1-goal head start, as I said earlier, and I know I'm downbeat about it, but that's just the ghost of Man United games past and all coming back to haunt me. And you know, someday it has to turn, and I really hope it's tomorrow. I'd really love to turn them over tomorrow. I'll be getting on the road to Dublin after the match tomorrow to celebrate my mother's birthday. So,
lovely.
I will have several points tomorrow night, toasting the likes of Cameron Archer coming off the bench and scoring the winner against Man United. Like that's stuff of dreams.
Will he be on the bench? Yeah. Do you know what? Can he come on and do a Federico Makeda job on them for once? Wouldn't that send everyone to bed happy? Oh, geez, I'd gladly go to bed at 1 o'clock in the day, or 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the day, or whatever, just to make sure that they can't take it away from us. If I go to bed and go to sleep, it means that it's final. That's what I'd do. But I myself think that we have every opportunity. I think it could be a score draw tomorrow, and I think it could be 2-2. I think we'll score goals tomorrow.
I would take a draw. I'd snap your hand off for a draw now, but I think we need to get this over with and get a win against Man United, wherever it is, Old Trafford, Villa Park, or whatever. Just get it over with. Give us something to be bloody cheerful about against these shower of shysters that have been buying Premier Leagues. And sure, they invented the Premier League, didn't they? That's what the Premier League was invented for them.
How different it could have been if we had signed Teddy Sheringham instead of Tony Cascarino, isn't that what they say?
Well, there you go.
I think it's going to be 2-2 draw, and the reason I think it's going to be 2-2 draw is that Man United haven't played well this season. They beat a poor Newcastle team, in which literally Freddie Woodman did everything he could to allow Ronaldo to score 2 goals. They beat and prior to that, in the games previous, they huffed and puffed. They were grand. They've scored goals, but they haven't played well. They really haven't played well. I think take the Watford game out of it for us, and I think we've been rocks. I think we've been good to solid in every single, or solid to good in every single game we've played after that. After the Watford game, we didn't light it up against Brentford, reasons being obvious, and we should have beaten Brentford. But I think everybody was still pissed off the Watford game to realize that that you don't get 2 players ruled out for COVID. No other team has gotten it this year. 2 players ruled out of COVID, as far as I'm aware, literally hours before the game. So and plus, still we were coming off the back of a crappy preseason. So I'm confident we'll score goals tomorrow. I think United are a team of names. I don't think they're the final article yet. They haven't been able to integrate. They haven't been able to integrate Sancho into the team just yet. Maybe he starts instead of Mason Greenwood. He got minutes against West Ham, but then again against West Ham, they still had a lot of good players out against West Ham. They just didn't play well. I don't think Solskjaer is a particularly brilliant manager. At all. I think he's grand. I think he's fine, but I think it's more so he's picking from the fine china as opposed to picking from the stuff from IKEA, so it's a bit bits and pieces like that. But saying that, Man United's home record is formidable, specifically against us, and I think there will be a lot of sports psychology going on this weekend. And even though we've turned over the team, it's very difficult for the players not to hear Aston Villa don't win at Old Trafford, and for that not to affect them. So, of course. So hopefully.
Yeah. And little, like, for a fact, when you played football, Neil, and you went out and you went, not this
at a massive level I played football.
Not this fucking referee again. How many times have you said that in your life? And, I can assure you they're thinking that about me.
Will I name him, Paddy? Will I name the ref?
Is he still alive?
Yes, he's still refereeing, I think, as well. Darren might keep me honest in that one.
Don't name him, whatever you do.
I won't. No, we can't go doxing people in that one. But
But
no, look, I think
go back to what
sorry,
you
go
said
ahead.
about Solskjaer. I don't think he's a decent coach at all. I think he's winging it big time. I think he can't get the team up for the lesser teams. I don't put us in that bracket. As a result, I think they might turn us over. But I think Solskjaer is on his last legs, and I think the power of having Ronaldo in that team will probably see the end of Solskjaer if they're not doing anything by Christmas.
That's a good point, actually. That's a good point. Maybe the blessing in disguise could be the sheep and wolves clothing. Oh, what a great phrase.
I didn't see it, but apparently Ronaldo was up beside him as well at the young boys game. Nearly.
Can we call it burn? So that because it just never sounds right. Can we just at the burn game?
Yeah.
The Burn FC game. Yeah. We don't want to be indicting anyone either. But no, listen. Look. The game is played on grass for a reason. Like worse teams than Aston Villa have gone and beaten Manchester United, and throughout the years. And let's just hope it's us next week. West Ham haven't exactly been firing on all cylinders this year, and they went and they got a result midweek. Let's compound their misery and let's go and get a result ourselves at the weekend. I think John McGinn is going to be buzzing around like a blue arse fly again in midfield. I think Jacob Ramsey is going to throw his weight around. I think Douglas Luiz is getting better and better and better. And I think the back three suits us. As you say, if we can corral the 700 and whatever goal scorer that they have up top. And to be honest with you, do you know what? He counts goals he scored internationally at under 15 and under 17 level in his his total, whereas Messi doesn't. That's just another little bit for you guys. If we can keep him quiet, then look, the world's our oyster.
So do I, Neil.
Yes, Dara, that's a gashood. The ref once did tell me I look like a pirate whilst he was booking me. Exactly.
Aye, Captain.
Exactly. I think that's a good note to leave the podcast on, should I say. We're going to come back for a team sheet tantrum tomorrow. I never even asked Paddy was he around for it, but we'll be back. I owe him one anyway to do one solo if needs be tomorrow. And I will be here, and I won't be I think I'm only missing a plane and a train, I think, at this rate for team sheet tantrums. But there's a long year there yet. But we'll be back tomorrow. Team will probably be announced around 11:30. We'll be here.
Before you wrap it up, I want to give a shout out to I've never seen her on before, Bernice Moran. We don't get too many ladies coming in. Bernice is there, and I think she's in Amsterdam at the moment. So fair play to her for coming on.
I missed that. How was it? Hi, Bernice.
There you go.
There you are now. Enjoy your time away. And we'll be back to you at 11:30. I said that.
11.
At 11:20 tomorrow, I suppose, is what time? Kickoff is 12:30, isn't it?
12:30, yeah.
12:30, yeah. We'll be at 11 tomorrow with a team sheet tantrum and a little quick chin wag before the game. So if I don't know, maybe you're just getting a brunch, maybe you're getting your second breakfast, or maybe you're just getting your breakfast in bed. Maybe you've got somebody who's going to leave you ever sleep in. But either way, we'd love for you to join us tomorrow morning. And look, I know I'm going to be as positive as all hell tomorrow. And even now, I'm on the 2-2 train. But the 2-2 train, that actually sounds like choo-choo train when I said it that way. But I'm on the 2-2 brigade for the actual for the prediction. And let's see what it comes in at tomorrow. But listen, thanks everybody for so much. I'm rambling now. Thanks so much for watching in and listening in.
Not like it's ramble at all, Neil, is it?
No, absolutely not at all. But thanks a million for everything you do for the podcast. You can catch Paddy on @VillaPaddy on Twitter. You can catch me on at Love McGrath Pod. Don't be afraid to send us a message or to chat us on Twitter. I'm only mad to talk about Aston Villa. But as I say, we'll be back again tomorrow, 11:20, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.
So it's